Hey everyone, I'm going to read a passage from my novel, The Road to Vegas. The Road to Vegas was the first book I wrote. It's out in large print, trade paperback, hardcover, dust jacket, and ebook at all good online bookstores. Here we go with the read. At 7 that night, Diego knocked on the door. When she opened it, he was leaning casually against the door frame, dressed in black jeans and a tight, short-sleeved black shirt that showed off the tanned, muscular arms crossed over his chest, making his muscles bulge even more. "Still in black, I see," she purred, her heart thundering as she took in the sight of his muscular arms and body, and God, what they could do to her. "You really don't dress in any other colour?" "Occasionally, but pretty much black." He grinned, seeing the look of lust on her face as she eyed him, and it stirred him. "You look great," he said, taking in her red floral silk mini-dress. It clung to every sexy curve of her body, and he wanted to slide over those curves to taste the soft, sweet, sensual flesh down between her. "So, where are we going?" she asked, bringing him back from dreamland. She saw his hair was parted on the left with a carefree lock over his forehead. "Up on the roof. I thought I'd grill." Talia was unsure, remembering what had happened in his pool. "I can't. After last time, we shouldn't," she muttered, her voice drifting off. Her gaze slid down the bridge of his nose to the chiselled line of his jaw and the way his lips curled up at the ends. "We're not going swimming," he promised. Melting at his smile, she grinned. That's she grinned, not chagrined. "Okay, let's go," she said, and followed him around to his lift, as in the lift in the building. When they walked out onto the roof, she saw everything was ready. "Okay, here we go," Diego said, throwing some burgers on. "We'll have burgers with salad, fruit and cake for dessert. How does that sound?" "Sounds great. My stomach can't wait," she said, pouring them both drinks. 15 minutes later, they were eating burgers. This is good," Talia mumbled around mouthfuls. She swiped sauce from her chin. "Wow, he's gorgeous, and he cooks." "It is good, even if I do say so myself," Diego agreed, wanting to lick the sauce off as it dribbled down her delectable chin. Dessert was just as good. "God, I love this chocolate cake. I have it all the time. It's so light and fluffy." "If you eat it all the time, how do you stay in shape?" Diego eyed her figure hungrily. "Lots of sex," she said, then choked on the piece she'd put in her mouth before making the comment. Closing her mouth, she flushed the same colour as her dress and, swallowing awkwardly, played with the rest of her cake. "Lots of sex suits you," Diego flirted seductively, his voice low and throaty. He gazed at her hungrily, feeling like he hadn't eaten in days, if not weeks. He wanted to eat her, eat every tasty morsel that she was. Unable to look at him, Talia rushed over to the railing and gripped it for dear life as she gazed out over the city. God, what just happened, she thought, feeling her blood boil through her veins. I can't do this. Deep breaths, count to 10 slowly. Diego came up behind her and grabbed her arms, turning her around to face him. "I want you," he breathed and pulled her towards him. "I've wanted you from the first moment I saw you at your audition." He kissed her passionately, the way a real man kisses a woman, with power and desire, lust and hunger. It was running so deeply through his veins that the fierceness of it penetrated through to his very core, scared him to the marrow of his bones, and exhilarated his living, gasping soul. His tongue plundered her mouth with a desperate need to taste her and the chocolatey sweetness inside. It was pure tongue sex. She feebly tried to push him away, but couldn't hold on any longer. "I can't do this," the thought vaguely floated through her mind for a second before she gave in, kissing him back with a force she'd never felt before. Their hands raced over each other's body. Their mouths crashed together. Talia's hand slid down his body and underneath his shirt to feel him. Finding the snap buttons on his shirt, she ripped it open, yanked it down his shoulders and threw it to the ground. Her hands and mouth explored his hard, muscular torso. Her tongue ran over him as his hands slid over her. Pulling her mouth back to his, Diego picked her up and carried her over to the couch. They fell onto it, their mouths still kissing hungrily. Their bodies were on fire. A raging fire that was out of control, blazing across their inhibitions unable to be quenched. Talia groaned in pleasure as his hand seared down over her body and under her dress, sliding it up to reveal a red bra and panties. He pulled down her bra, wanting to feel, wanting to see, wanting to taste. "Oh my God," Diego gasped. Tasting her body, it was like fine wine, moulding her breasts into the shape of his hands, bringing louder groans from her. Talia cried out as his chest hair came into contact with her naked flesh, setting her bare breasts alight with such intensity she thought she was going to burn up and explode. His lips were doing so much damage as they moved over her skin, tasting her sweetness, drinking her like she was the only thing that could quench his thirst. His right hand slid down over her body and thrust into her panties, so ready to feel her wet womanhood and what he'd done to it. No, wait, don't. The breath tore out of her throat and she grabbed his hand. No, wait, I can't do this, she gasped raggedly and pushed him away. Rolling off the couch, she swayed to her feet, fixed her bra and pulled down her dress. Why can't you do this? Diego demanded, getting up and grabbing her. Why can't you do this? He repeated, pulling her to him. No, she cried, trying to push him back. I can't do this. I can't. It's not right. I'm in Vegas. I love him. We're a couple. I won't cheat on him. She looked at him desperately, wanting him to understand the predicament he'd put her in, the one she'd wanted to get out of. After all, she was with Vegas, and that's all there was to it. But she had feelings for the man before her. That was undeniable, and she wouldn't deny it if she were asked anyway. Vegas, Diego spat the name with contempt. You mean that animal that leaves you alone every fortnight to go off and do God knows what with God knows who? The animal that doesn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. I love you. I want you. I want to make you happy. I want to give you everything your heart has ever desired. He pulled her to him, seeing her cry at his words. He was on the verge himself, just dying inside at not making her his. Let me love you. Let me love you. Let me make you happy, he whispered and kissed her again. No, she cried, pushing him away with newfound strength. I won't cheat on him. She ran for the stairwell that would take her down to her suite. Diego was desperate. He was angry. So angry he picked up a glass from the coffee table and threw it at the doorway Talia had just fled through. Damn that man, that animal, he violently waved his arms around in emphasis. He doesn't treat her right, but here she is. She doesn't want to cheat on him. Ha! If only she knew. Breathing hard, he sat down on the couch, put his head in his hands and cried out in frustration over the woman he loved. That is a passage from The Road to Vegas. Under My Dot was the name of LJ Diva. Out now at all good online bookstores in large print, hardcover dust jacket and trade paperback along with the ebook. The Road to Vegas. Out now.